Good evening. This is Maestro Cretella with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast, and today we have a 3v3 faction war classic matchup, tons of power armor, Chaos versus Space Marines, or Space Marines versus Chaos, and quite a lineup as well. Our first player is Dark Riku as this Space Marine Apothecary. Not a great fighter, but he heals like units like Tactical Marines and Assault Space Marines, and that's really annoying because then they stay in for really long. They counter some of their counters, so he's a good hero. His first teammate is Lucidic as this Force Commander with a very interesting insignia or logo. Force Commander is a tanky melee hero. He can disrupt other melee units. He acts as a melee counter. He can punch vehicles. He can hit people with a hammer. He's a good hero too. Finally, on the side of the Imperium of Man is DJ Raffa, a Techmarine. He has a gun for every occasion. Right now he's shooting the Chaos Lord. Now he's running away from him. The Techmarine supports vehicles well. He can build structures like relay beacons and turrets. On the other side of things, first of all, we have Maestro Cretella, playing as this Chaos Sorcerer, Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, about to attack some loyalist Space Marines. The Chaos Sorcerer is a mage. That's what he is. Nobody ever really says that, but he's a mage. He focuses on spell casting. His range damage output is not really that great. His melee damage output is okay, but nothing compared to actual melee heroes. Our next player is Indrid of Dawn of War Replays Net. Indrid is playing as the Plague Champion. Starts off a bit like the Techmarine. He has a bolter. He fights in ranged. He can get melee weapons and can be a very tanky melee hero if you choose to kit him out that way. He also can support vehicles by repairing, as well as building turrets and such. Finally, we have Osinski, playing as the Chaos Lord. He's just standing around in base, so we'll try not to stay here too long. But the Chaos Lord is a tanky melee hero, cannot be suppressed or knocked down. He can act as a melee counter, has decent range damage output for a melee hero, but can also get some crazy ranged weapons later on. Alright, anyway, up top here, Dark Riku is retreating. I won my early engagement against Riku, and I'm using that advantage to get a decap on the blue team's natural VP, although over here, Lucidic is being a little sneaky, sends his scouts all the way up here to get a decap on our natural. So actually, 500, still 500 victory points for Chaos. Indrid is actually, instead of focusing on the bottom, he's coming over here to go for a little gen bash early on. Plague Champion is not upgrading to the Bile Spewer, so the generators will go down fairly slowly, and he actually seems to be getting flanked a bit by scouts. These are Indrid scouts. They do take off a scout model right there that was DJ Raffa's scout squads, and they might even be able to get some models on Lucidic's right here. So I'm assuming one generator went down. Now we have Flamer Tactical Marines actually chasing down the Chaos Space Marines. Meanwhile, Osinski is definitely going to have a little bit of advantage here. He uses the worship from his heretic squads. Wow, but wow. So DJ Raffa now has bionics. We saw that huge, powerful sweep, absolutely destroying those heretics, and I think Osinski needs to be really careful. He already lost one heretic squad, the one that he was actually using to worship to get his other heretic squads in. He needs to be careful about his heretic squads that are still in play, since they're actually... The Techmarine might take them out in melee. So Osinski might be lucky to get both of his heretics, those remaining two heretic squads out of there, but he lost one squad and took a huge amount of bleed from those others. Alright, up here, Chaos Space Marines, a little overextended now. Gonna need to get out of there or they will lose a model. Too many of Riku's units up there. One Chaos Space Marine model goes down for me. I already have a Havoc. I also have Sword of Flame and Vestments of the Warp. Easy, bread and butter play for the Sorcerer. Without that Sword of Flame, he's not so good against Tactical Marines, but with the Sword of Flame, he certainly does well against power armor. Well enough. The Sword of Flame is not a power weapon, but just it puts his melee damage high enough that he actually can afford to fight units like Tactical Marines. So right here, I'm up against Riku again. Let's see, what am I going to do here? I have the Heretics in a battle against the Assault Space Marines. I use Coruscating Flame and some Doom Bolts on top of that. Actually gets rid of those Assault Space Marines, 2 models down on those Assault Space Marines. So the combination of Coruscating Flame and Doom Bolts from the Sorcerer and the Heretics, pretty good against the Assault Space Marines. I actually got a second squad of Heretics because I wanted it to deal with the Assault Space Marines. But I did well enough with just the Sword of Flame as well as Doom Bolts. Now I have aspiring champions. Chaos Raptors out for Indrid. Indrid out here, he has gotten the Mucus Discharge. He's actually getting a fully kitted out Plague Champion in Tier 1. Mucus Discharge, Fetid Armor, and now the Sword of Undeath. So he's just going to unleash that sword right here. Will be pretty devastating to these attacks with their Flamers. He's taken out some models, I think. Not quite yet. These attacks actually taking a lot of damage without losing a model, but there they lose a model. We're not seeing those zombies for some reason, though. And this Plague Champion fully kitted out in Tier 1. Very strong melee build for the Plague Champion. He will be able to heal himself with the Mucus Discharge. Will make him a little bit tankier. Unfortunately, over here, looks like Osinski lost his Chaos Lord. And that's allowing DJ Raffa to get a little bit of a Gen Bash off. So it looks like Chaos struggling a bit down in the bottom. VPs are pretty even, 379 to 383. And yeah, it looks like a full Gen Bash is going to happen by DJ Raffa. But Osinski, because he only got triple Heretics, he didn't spend a whole lot in Tier 1. He's already in Tier 2 before anybody else. He already has a Demon Dog right here when none of the other players are in Tier 2. So Osinski's now definitely going to be exerting a bit of an advantage, and now we have a legion of Heretics following behind that Demon Dog. There's not a whole lot that the Space Marines can do about this at the moment. Up here, let's see, we have some Assault Space Marines from Lucidic. Assault Space Marines for every single Space Marine player. And it looks like Lucidic, yes, Lucidic is over here coming around the top. So it's interesting to see that players from both teams are actually, those mid players from both teams are actually going around over this in here in the middle instead of just concentrating on that bottom lane like the bottom two players will generally do on this map. Now, it looks like Osinski will probably get a full Gen Bash off Tier 2, especially since Space Marine players still going to Tier 2. They really can't threaten that Blood Crusher yet. I'm pressuring more, using that teleport, getting another decap off on the blue team natural. It's going to be a double cap for us, but as we can see, the Space Marines are also being pretty cheeky with their, I think, like with scouts or something, getting some back caps. Sorcerer right here gets in a little too much trouble. I especially have to be careful now that Riku has the Master Crafted Bolter. That is something that's going to be very effective against the Sorcerer, since it will disrupt him and even threaten to kill him. Space Marines pushing up in here. I've got double Heretics in here, but not really with anything else. And they do just have to retreat. I get them out of there so they don't lose too many models. And right there I had cast Space Marines. I decided to just retreat them because they were just up against too many units. Riku is pushing up in this top lane again. He's actually getting support from Lucidic, so it's actually somewhat uncommon to see those mid players push up into the top when most of the fighting usually takes place in the bottom. But our team has gotten a full Gen Bash off on this farm. Osinski will probably get another Gen Bash over here. He's now got Bloodletters in addition to his Blood Crusher, so he's really going for a demon play, and he'll have a lot of worship support for his demons with those double Heretics. Could afford to get an Aspiring Champion, I think. That could be a dead Assault Space Marine squad. Will that be one Assault Space Marine squad dead? Oh man, that could have been a wipe on Lucidic's Assault Space Marines. The Bionic's doing very well for the Techmarine. He's also got the Meltagun. Does a lot. It has a lot of. It has good burst damage, so I think it will be very good, since I think it will kill a Heretic model with each shot. There are now some counters out for that Blood Crusher. Wow! Drain life, I think, from the Chaos Lord. Yes, drain life from the Chaos Lord. Levitates that Techmarine in the air, and that's going to force him off. Unfortunately, it looks like Osinski is going to lose another Heretic squad. His Blood Crusher is doing pretty well, but he really has to be careful about losing all of his Heretics. He does have, now, does he have double Bloodletters? It looks like that. Or maybe he has temporary Bloodletters. No, he's got, no, those are some temporary Bloodletters. My Havoc setting up. I'm getting back out on the field. Triple cap for the blue team, for the Space Marines, 336 to 247. I'm getting our top one back, and down here I think Indrid will probably get the bottom one back. Librarian now out for Lucidic. Sub-Commander for the Space Marines. Has the Smite ability, basically an Area of Effect Plasma ability. Frequently upgrades to get the Tome of Time to support units by making them go faster. Now again, I'm playing that game where I just move up, capture that, using the mobility of the Sorcerer to quickly get in and decap the natural victory point for the blue team, so that we have it instead. Heretic's a little forward. This could be really dangerous, actually. Oh, but looks like Indrid activates Touch of Nurgle. I actually think that's a little risky. He's only got 4 models left on his Heretics, only 3 now, so those Heretics can't afford to stay in there too much longer, or they will actually die. I mean, Touch of Nurgle is a great global. Really needs to be careful. I think they will get out of there alive. Indrid's his Chaos Raptors get in there, though, and they will hard counter these Tactical Marines, especially now that they do have their aspiring champion leader. I'm often about to say his aspiring champion squad. So the Plague Champion is in here, still rocking that same build, but unfortunately, Indrid loses his Chaos Space Marines because they were disrupted by all those shotguns. I think his Plague Champion is in trouble as well as his Chaos Raptors might be in trouble too. Looks like the Plague Champion will just about get out of there. Didn't see a grenade from Lucidic's scouts there. Could have killed that, I think. Alright. Over here. Who's up here? It's actually Osinski a lot up here. I don't even know where I am. I'm over here. Getting very close to wiping... I was going to say getting very close. I actually do wipe Riku's scout squad. Sorry. I was shotgun blasted off, but then what happened was the damage over time from the Sword of Flame actually wiped Riku's scouts. Looks like Riku also lost some Assault Space Marines, and I'm not sure where. Now up here, I'm actually upgrading to Khorne Space Marines on the field. Ooh, that's not good. That's Lucidic's Assault Space Marines jumping in, but he just jumped into double Heretics and Khorne Space Marines. That is not going to be good at all for those Assault Space Marines, and it actually also buys my Havoc time to reset up. Although I think I'm moving a little bit too back with my Havocs. So both my Heretics are getting out of there, but now the Assault Space Marines do not have enough energy to jump my Havoc that has just reset up. So that's a winning engagement for us. Some funny stuff going on in the chat. The Librarian went down for, I think, Lucidic. But some funny stuff going on in the chat. Riku's losing units, and DJ Raffa is just saying rebuild it. Khorne Space Marines in here, taking a lot of fire. I'm going to get them out of there so that they don't lose models. But my Havoc is setting up here. It's going to be supporting Osinski's units. It's mostly Osinski's stuff right here, and I'm just supporting with my Havoc. Now this is not good at all for DJ Raffa. Oh man, I think if we had had some better awareness about that, we could have taken off 2 scout models at least, if not wiped the entire squad. We have some backcapping Assault Space Marines, so it looks like the blue team definitely they're winning on VPs, but they're not doing so well on units. They've lost a few units. We're amassing bigger armies on the Chaos side. I've now got my Dreadnought, of course, actually just vanilla. I usually go for that that Tzeentch missile launcher, but not here, not now. These Assault Space Marines from DJ Raffa, I think, in a little bit of trouble. Double Heretics coming to attack them, as well as that Blood Crusher, but they do jump out of there and just retreat, since there's just way more than they can deal with. Scouts were probably going to go for a back cap or something, but they can't deal with that Chaos Dreadnought, even with just the autocannon. This dog needs to be very careful. It does get hit by a Melt-A-Bomb, and now it has to charge in on these. It has to charge in on both the missile attack as well as the Stern Guard veterans, which can both threaten to take out that Blood Crusher. Blood Crusher is surprisingly still alive. We get some disruption from Osinski's Chaos Lord, and I'm also bringing in my Chaos Dreadnought, hopefully to tie up some units. My Sorcerer is still in here, but he's getting knocked down a little bit too much from that Force Commander. Might even go down here, but he teleports out of there. And now Khorne Space Marines coming in here. That's going to be absolutely devastating. Alright, so I did manage to tie up some of those Tactical Marines and Stern Guard veterans. Osinski kept his Blood Crusher alive, and that was really close. There was Assault Space Marines, Stern Guard veterans, and a Missile Tac Squad, so he was it was definitely well played by us to keep that Blood Crusher alive. Right there, the Force Commander goes down, just retreating through a bunch of stuff. Looks like Lucidic also lost his scouts. So it's not looking so good for the Imperium of Man now. They've also lost a generator farm down here. Indrid down here with that Plague Champion who's kitted out purely with Tier 1 war gear. And Indrid's coming to support with the rest of his units. He's got a somewhat small army. Chaos Space Marines with the Mark of Tzeentch as well as Raptors in there. I think his Raptors will probably get disrupted soon. This Plague Champion, I think, needs to heal himself, maybe. Unless it's on cooldown and he can't do it. Otherwise, he's about to lose his Plague Champion, I think. But actually, the Assault Space Marines get forced off. Those might be dead Assault Space Marines. No, they actually get out of there alive. So it looks actually like Indrid's winning this engagement. Did not look like it, at least it didn't look like to me like he was on the winning end of it. All right, over here, we're going to get some Gen Bashes on. Unfortunately, I accidentally upgraded one of my Heretics to grenade launchers. I actually didn't even mean to do that, but it's been happening because I recently switched to grid keys, and the button for upgrading to grenade launchers is right next to the button for repairing. All right, Chaos Dreadnought in a little bit of trouble right now, getting hit by missiles and Melt-A-Bombs, but the Assault Space Marines do not jump on the Havocs, and if they do not jump on the Havocs, my Havocs can really just suppress everything else. Unfortunately, oh no, I walk my Heretics right into an orbital bombardment, get the Havocs out of there, but I'm still keeping the field presence on here. The map is very, very red. The VPs are finally going in favor of the red team, in favor of Chaos. Havoc setting up, covering a huge area. Not going to be that bad at not going to be that good at bashing generators, but certainly covering a huge area right now. Gets hit really hard by Smite, but I'm getting support from Indrid down here. Bringing some of my units back. Chaos Sorcerer is back. Oh, and I saw that plasma cannon shot coming in. Unfortunately, I think the Sorcerer retreat was a complete accident. Indrid's still in here, going for some generator bashes. Might have to be a little careful now. A lot of units jumping in here. Both the Force Commander and the Assault Space Marines. Indrid has to be careful with those units. Alright, up here. Mostly Osinski stuff up here. I don't even know where I am. DJ Raffa now has some Vanguard veterans, Elite Tier 3 melee jump unit, exclusive to the Elite mod. Switches out all of the Assault Space Marine weapons for power weapons. It gives them both an increase in base DPS as well as changing their damage to power melee for every single model. Fortunately, my Chaos Dreadnought a little overextended. I wanted to not move it all the way back to base, but now I'm getting, unfortunately, I'm going to be paying for it. Do not quite have, basically it just didn't have the repair support fast enough. I think that will be the end of my Chaos Dreadnought. This is a bad engagement for me. Probably the end of that Chaos Dreadnought. Yes, it's going to go down there. But Tome of Subjugation, I use Tome of Subjugation on the Vanguard veterans. I'm attacking the Librarian with the Vanguard veterans. That's going to be very bad for that. Unfortunately, Tome of Subjugation does wear off. But I also have my Khorne Space Marines in here going after that Apothecary. That Apothecary has to be very careful, but the Force Commander is disrupting those Khorne Space Marines. I'm getting some support from Osinski's, Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, but now my Khorne Chaos Space Marines getting very low on health. They would actually do pretty decently against the Vanguard veterans, but unfortunately, the Vanguard veterans were getting support from that Force Commander. The Havocs are able to set up. And Osinski doing very well with this Blood Crusher, keeping it in play for very, very long. And that's actually going to be a wipe on Vanguard veterans? Wow, so DJ Raffa really lucky to get that Vanguard veteran squad out of there with only 32 health.
We shall make it so.
Double cap for the blue team, 133 to 143. And now a huge army for Riku. Dreadnought, Scout Marines, new Scouts, Plasma Cannon Devastator, but they are getting jumped by Indrid's Chaos Raptors. Chaos Raptors actually now upgrading to the Melt-A-Guns as an AV response to that Dreadnought. Indrid, getting... Actually, still has 3 out of 4 models on those Chaos Raptors, just getting 2 out of 3 now. And now we have a great unclean one for Indrid. A really stinky super unit for Chaos. Has to be really careful, though. There is a huge Space Marine blob coming his way. One of them does have a plasma gun, so that will be doing bonus damage to the super heavy infantry armor of the Great Unclean One. Assault Space Marines jumping in. It looks like we're going to have... Well, it's not going to be a big engagement. It's actually just a massive amount of Space Marines, and definitely not enough chaos over here. And unfortunately, Indrid, is he going to lose his Plague Champion? Yes, he does. This could be really bad. He might also lose his Great Unclean One. But I'm actually moving down here to support. I'm actually moving with all of my units, getting a flank. Havoc sets up, forces off some scouts. And I'm going to be moving in, moving down here, getting some more... Yeah, suppressing from behind. I'm flanking with suppression, as well as an Imperial Abyss from someone. It looks like from, probably from Indrid, maybe from Osinski. And oh, take out a unit right there, I think. We need to turn around with those. Yes, and I wipe out a Tactical Marine Squad from DJ Raffa. So definitely some wipes. We also took out a Librarian for someone, apparently. So now a double cap for the red team. We've definitely hit them pretty hard. Sorcerer staying in here a little bit too long. Too many Space Marines in here. Can't keep him in. Needs to teleport him out of there. Good. Alright, so I'm going for yet another Gen Bash. Just for fun. Well, not just for fun, to get the red. I'm in tier 3. But now we have a Predator out for Dark Riku. Unfortunately, I've lost some units. Well, actually, no. I lost my Sorcerer up here, and also an Imperial Abyss happened up here. I did not see how I lost my Sorcerer. But we do have definitely a big mass of chaos down here. Now, Land Raider Phobos for Osinski, as well as a Great Unclean One for Indrid. So we have it's a 2-cap for chaos for the red team, but Dark Riku is going to change that. Unfortunately, I've lost a few too many units. I lost a Heretic Squad, I lost my Chaos Sorcerer, Indrid and Osinski with bigger armies.
Allied infantry destroyed.
127, a single cap for the red team. Indrid is telling Osinski to be careful with that Land Raider Phobos, but unfortunately there's too much going on up here. We definitely have dominating control over this bottom, but now Riku captured this top, and I actually can't deal with everything that's going on up here. Gonna get very close to wiping those Vanguard veterans from Riku. Will I get the wipe on those Vanguard veterans? No, they don't. They turn around. Wish I hadn't done that. So I even go for a Dark Flames. Can I finish them off with the Dark Flames? Takes them down to 38, 37, 31, 30. 29, 28, but does not finish off those Vanguard veterans. Now, Osinski and Indrid definitely doing very well down here, but unfortunately it's a 1-to-1 cap, so we're not winning yet. And unfortunately both DJ Raffa and Lucidic, and Dark Riku. So I'm actually getting tripled up here. There's just too much stuff. Yes, I'm actually getting tripled up here. Yeah. All 3 Space Marine players have units up top here. They've switched strategies. They basically, since Osinski and Indrid are all holed up down here with 3 shrines, Corn Shrines and Nurgle Shrines. Basically, they've just switched strategies. They went for the top. I'm tripled up here, and unfortunately, I'm throwing in this Great Unclean One. It is taking a lot more damage than I anticipated. Already down to 5,000 HP. Unfortunately, this is poorly played by me, sending it in a little too eagerly, not realizing... Unfortunately, I don't use the Great Unclean One enough. And yes, Indrid saying that they're all top, and yes, they are. They're all top. Scout Squad, will that Scout Squad go down? So a Scout Squad goes down for DJ Raffa from my Great Unclean One, but unfortunately, I'm about to lose my Great Unclean One. I did not realize just how well all these things would do against my Great Unclean One, and I'm just straight up losing it. And it looks like Osinski tried to push up here a little bit, but it wasn't quite enough just because all of the Space Marine players are up here. They're actually focusing on holding the top 2 VPs instead of holding their natural and then holding the contested VP in the bottom. Now, I'm losing a lot of units. My Havoc's nearly dead. The Venerable Dreadnought charges into my Havoc. The Venerable Dreadnought is going to die, but it does take out my Havoc. My Khorne Space Marine's nearly dead. My Heretic's nearly dead and going to die. I lose everything. Lost a ton of stuff, so this is quite terrible, unfortunately. It looks like, can we at least take out this Dreadnought? No, we won't take out the Dreadnought. And unfortunately, it looks like now Indrid loses those Havocs. Osinski apparently has 2 Land Raider Phoboses. Not possible, but just a little graphical bug. And now it's... Unfortunately, I'm not doing well at all. This is my only unit left. Khorne Space Marines. And the Space Marines had a very interesting response. We hold up in the bottom, so they actually decided to push up top and then hold up there. And there's not a lot of time left. And so even if we commit all of our units up here, it looks like DJ Raffa is going to go for a Kappa over here maybe. And we don't have enough units. We're running out of time, so the Space Marines can actually win this. After taking quite a few losses, but they've rebuilt their armies a lot better than we have.
We must fight on, even in the jaws of death.
30 VPs left in our favor. Double cap for blue. They just need to hold, but they can't afford to let a VP go back in our favor. Double Dreadnoughts for Dark Riku, and this Land Raider Phobos taking too many hits. Now, let's see. What I'm doing in here, there's not a whole lot I can do, but I use the Warp Blow. We'll get my Khorne Space Marines in. I also use the the Summoning Circle, and Dark Riku now with Angel of Death making his units take less damage, but I'm actually getting a decap on the victory point with my Khorne Space Marines because they're actually being reinforced by the Demonic Circle, the Summoning Circle, which I did not even know could happen. And I'm actually starting to get the point, but they get knocked off, and I don't put them back on the point. Unfortunately, a huge mistake by me not to put them back on the point. And I'm actually fighting with them or just paying attention. I'm just throwing down Dark Flames because I don't know what else to do. I think a Dreadnought will go down. 1 Dreadnought down, but I need to cap the point instead of fighting with my Khorne Space Marines. Stern Guard Veterans now capturing the point. Another Imperial Abyss. Killing a bunch of stuff, kills a scout squad from Dark Riku, but does not get off the Stern Guard veteran that actually gets the cap. And right here, unfortunately, my Chaos Space Marines that get out of there. And the Space Marines take it. Unfortunately, I think I could have won the game there if I had just kept my Khorne Space Marines on the cap. I didn't, but part of the thing is I did not realize that Summoning Circle actually reinforces now. That's a change that was made very recently, and that actually allowed my Khorne Space Marines to stay on the cap because they kept on getting their models back. So we could have won there, although DJ Raffa did decap this VP over here, but I still think if I was fast enough, I could have gotten that VP back, and that could have been the game for us. Close game. This was one of like 8 or 9 3v3s that I played with these guys on a given day. We spent like 4 or 5 hours playing. This was the closest and most exciting game by far. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.